Hello.
Hey.
I'm in Boxtopia, if you haven't seen.
Oh my goodness. The boxes, baskets.
It's annoying.
Storage hell.
Yeah. Let's play a game.
Okay.
So, you know those big storage tubs
Yes.
that you use for moving?
Yeah, or Legos, yeah.
Yeah. But these are like the big, like black and yellow ones, you know?
Oh, they're like seal them. You seal in the kind of the middle, those things?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
These you don't, but it's approximately the same size.
All right.
So, how many of those do you think we used for kitchen stuff?
5.
You're way low.
Whoa. That's too much.
11.
You guys have a 1-bedroom apartment.
Yeah. 11 tubs of kitchen equipment.
Oh my gosh.
And we haven't even packed liquor. So if you add that together, that's like twice as much as the rest of our belongings.
You guys are moving a kitchen and your camping gear, like what you use to like sleep over at your kitchen.
Basically. Oh, it's ridiculous.
That's just too much.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens when you marry a chef/bartender.
Yeah, I guess so. It's kitchen and liquor.
I mean, it's not a bad life.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah. What are we doing today?
Oh, yeah. What are we doing today? We are going to address some of our listener questions.
Yay. I love our listeners. They're cool.
They are. They're awesome. And they have good questions.
They do, which means you're smart.
So I think we're kind of putting on the slate all of the listener questions we have.
We love them so much. We have to. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get started.
All right. Let's start with a question from Blake.
Okay. I'll be our question master.
All right.
All right. Blake says, I just found your podcast. I'm absolutely loving it. I do have a question for Grady. I'm a middle school social studies teacher and heard on an episode that Grady used to teach but no longer does. Did he stop teaching due to his beliefs on socialism, communism, or capitalism, or some other reason? I only ask because I teach in Oklahoma and I'm pretty far left and don't want my teaching career getting messed up because of my anti-capitalist beliefs.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
so
that probably could happen.
I kind of did a little bit of an Obi-Wan Kenobi thing there. So I went back and listened to it because I was like, what did I say? I did say that I had taught in public schools before. This is kind of true from a certain point of view.
Oh, yeah. Whenever he's like, your father killed him.
Yeah.
Yes.
I did. I did used to teach, but I also did at the time and currently still do teach in public schools. I guess I was just kind of feeling overly cautious at the time about that.
Feeling coy.
Yeah, but I'm in the same boat. I also teach in that subject area, just in Texas instead of Oklahoma. But yeah, I feel that need to hide that side of things.
Yeah.
It can be a challenge for sure. I'm kind of cowardly about it. Like I don't do any person-to-person organizing, never talk politics with any of my colleagues at all.
Yeah.
I imagine, this has never happened to me, but I imagine if I were asked, like, are you a leftist? Or are you a communist? Whatever they ask, I would just be like, no.
I picture them holding like a pitchfork to your throat with like torches burning.
No, I imagine I would just say no. But again, I haven't been asked in like 7 years of teaching, so I don't.
Yeah, it hasn't come up.
Yeah. And I mean, it is kind of a struggle, like presenting yourself as neutral in that sense.
I mean, especially when you're teaching history. Like, I don't think I could like read an American history textbook without like fucking wanting to throw it against a wall or laughing or a combination of those.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to. You definitely don't have to do it from it's not advisable to do it from the book in terms of what they're saying, really. But I don't know. I try not to. I don't think it's helpful to try to directly indoctrinate students or anything. I mean, it's kind of overbearing, kind of tacky.
Damn, tacky.
And of course, it would probably lead to a shortening of your career, as Blake was talking about.
Probably.
But like, there's a lot of opportunity, even in a very conservative curriculum, as I imagine he has too, to kind of get students to kind of ask the right questions about our world and stuff. And they know, man, like they have a sense of justice and a sense of right and wrong. And, I, for example, take the controversial stances of being against, slavery and discrimination and genocide,
Whoa, slow your roll.
Yeah. Which is fine to do. But I mean, it's technically a political stance even in our current world.
Jeez. Well, yeah, like I said with the textbooks, weren't they like in some states framing slavery as just like they were
bringing in workers.
They're bringing in workers. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Textbooks do have, biases in them. For me, the more annoying part, and beside the content, it's just being the man.
Yeah, that would suck.
You're a symbol of authority when you're a teacher and stuff, and we're kind of, especially we're kind of an anti-authoritarian strand of communist here. So
yeah,
I'm like,
so you have to be like, put your phone away.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm enforcing the rules, but I'm also like, I hope you hate this so that one day you don't want to follow the rules.
Yeah, like don't listen too hard.
Yeah, like follow the rules for now, but kind of internalize an antagonism toward that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, a lot of school is pretty fascist.
Oh, yeah, dude. They're regulated within an inch of their lives.
And that's what drives me crazy is they're like, man, they're saying they can't enforce masks. And it's like, I got sent to the ISS because I didn't have my shirt tucked in. And I just definitely didn't go. I just walked once around the cafeteria and went up some stairs instead. Like, they didn't escort me.
Yeah.
Just like left.
I guess in that way, it's a pretty good symbol of our country.
Ugh.
But yeah, it's definitely an interesting experience as a leftist being in education. That's for sure. So, Blake, I feel you.
Yeah. Do you have any advice?
Any advice? I mean, I would, I imagine you keep your cards close to your chest, keep doing that.
Yeah. Be careful out there.
Yeah. It's hard I don't have so much advice as just like, I guess my experience of it is it's discouraging in a way, at least at our level. You don't really see the fruition of what you're doing. So you're kind of planting seeds, but you won't really have a way of knowing if kids kind of come around to this. Because, I mean, right now they're reflecting of their parents. Like, they don't have
what are you going to do?
Political ideologies or anything of their own. They barely have values of their own. They're forming those still,
Yeah, yeah.
It's like you're kind of like starting to get them to trying to get them to think. You're trying to get them to start questioning things.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would say, I think one of the reasons that we're leftist is because we had a pretty openly leftist teacher growing up.
Yeah.
And his thing was definitely all about asking the right questions. Like, I will always remember when some kid just was like, communism is bad. He just went, why? And that was the first time anyone had ever challenged that.
Yeah, they didn't have a real response to that. It was just...
yeah, I just shut it down like,
bad.
I don't actually know. I mean, yeah, like you were saying, kids are definitely so much a product of their parents and even the environment. Like... I am still ashamed to this day. We had a mock election in first grade, and all my friends voted for Bush, so I did too, okay?
Iraq War, it's your fault.
It's my fault. I did it.
Gosh, I can't believe that.
This is my public apology.
You were responsible. That's crazy. Yeah.
Well, everyone else did it, and I wanted to be like my friends.
When I was in elementary school, we did one of those we did one in 96 when Clinton was running against Bob Dole, I think. And I voted for Bill Clinton because the way I remember it anyway, which is notoriously inaccurate, but still,
yes.
The way I remember it is that one of our parents said that Bob Dole was a smoker. And I was like, that's not good. I don't like that. I'll vote for Bill Clinton.
That's good.
So that's why I voted for him.
What a platform.
Yeah, I was anti-smoking.
That was your most pressing issue?
Yep. He got me on with the anti-smoking demographic.
Hilarious. That's hilarious. I know Dad voted for Nader once, right?
No, he voted for Perot.
Perot, okay. And it was one of those dudes.
I guess he may have voted for Nader. I don't actually know.
I don't know.
Voted for Perot in one of those.
Interesting.
Ones. Perot is wild. Way interesting, but
he's
kind
the
of
charts guy, right?
Yeah, the charts guy.
Yeah. It's weird to think he's from Dallas. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I live a few blocks from where, like, his son has a penthouse.
Huh. Nice.
It's nuts. All right. Cool.
Thank you, Blake, for your question and for setting the record straight on my teaching career. It's good that
it's okay to
clear
be shy.
that up.
Like you said, it's crazy out there. I don't blame you for being a little coy about that.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just an idiot. I'm just like, what are you going to do? I'm writing a book for teens, and I'm like, yeah, I'm a communist. So I'm a dumbass. All right, next up, we have Maggie.
Maggie
Who has a question about teachers' unions. They gave us some great compliments. Let's see.
which we appreciated.
All right. I was wondering what you guys thought about how people will be fired if they are not performing well. Both of my parents are teachers and are kind of badass, so I just assume their opinions are correct on this. But they really don't like the teachers' unions. They describe it as a closed shop, which I know you guys mentioned isn't legal. So several question marks there. They're in Massachusetts, by the way. They describe it as something that allows shitty teachers to keep their jobs by basically making it impossible to fire them. I guess my question would be this. How do we deal with people who are terrible at their jobs in a communist system? There are many terrible workers in every field. I feel that. So would it just come down to systems in place to ensure quality control? And what would happen to a person if they were kicked out of the workplace? I like these questions. I like all of these questions.
Yeah, there's a lot to tackle there. I guess I started with researching, not very in depth, but kind of researching teachers unions in Massachusetts to figure out. So they have the Massachusetts Teachers Association, and I'm not really an expert on it, even having done some research. But I took a look at a couple of school districts there, took a look at the collective bargaining agreements, the CBAs, that they had with the school committees that the union locals, I guess, had negotiated with the school committees. So like what their teacher contracts ended up being, the agreement. So I did want to clear up the closed shop question. It's not a closed shop because those are officially illegal.
Can you remind me what that is again?
A closed shop would be that you have to be a member of the union before getting hired onto a place.
Okay.
The CBAs that I looked at had a clause in there that said that the local will not unlawfully interfere or restrain any person from seeking employment with the school district and during the terms of this agreement. So they can't prevent anybody from working there or being hired there, even if they're not part of the union.
Okay.
And since this may have previously been a problem with like things called agency fees and stuff, which we talked about in the union episode, which is just they're not membership fees, but you have to pay them to the union so that to cover the cost of of representing you and stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's like a little less than a membership fee, but you still have to pay it.
This is like that weird middle ground option, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Since the Supreme Court decision in 2018, they call it the Janus Supreme Court decision. It's got a longer name, but workers no longer have to even pay that. They obviously don't have to be a part of the union, and they don't even have to pay those fees to be represented by a collective bargaining agreement.
That sucks for them.
Well, yeah, you could show up and get hired by the school district and not be a part of the union, not pay your dues, not pay even the little half dues, and still be represented and still be covered by that collective bargaining agreement. Still get all the benefits of it. So we hope that they wouldn't. But Maggie, if your parents really did not like the union and they wanted out, they are free to leave and still get its protections.
Don't do it, Maggie's parents.
Because everybody can do that now. That's the part on the closed shop.
Okay. Now let's get to bad teachers.
Yeah.
Or bad workers in general.
Yeah, I found this interesting. I did find an economics professor named Eunice Hahn.
Eunice.
That's a cool name, Eunice.
That's a very cool name. That's the ram in Animal Crossing. She's a popular villager.
Okay, so imagine Eunice then. As a economics professor doing a study for the National Bureau of Economic Research. This was a 2016 study that showed, based on their analysis, that states with higher unionization actually tended to have more effective teachers, or teachers for longer and higher quality teachers based on assessments and various measures and stuff. But their theory or thesis was that unions demand higher salaries for teachers, right? Mm-hmm. And the more experience and credentials and stuff you get, which should make you better as a teacher, the more expensive it is for a school district to keep you on board, keep you on the payroll.
Yeah.
Right? So the idea is that unions tend to give school districts a strong incentive to get rid of ineffective teachers before they work there long enough, usually about a 3-year window, to get tenure. Well, tenure doesn't mean that you cannot be fired, but it does mean that there is a more complicated and stringent
it's a
process in place. Yeah, that you have to go through to fire someone. So you want to make sure in the probationary period, they call it, to weed out anybody that you don't actually want there, because once that's up, then they're going to have a lot more protections. So this argument was that if you're more unionized, school districts have an incentive to make sure that they only have the effective teachers.
Because they're going to have to pay them pretty well, so they might as well be good teachers, is what they're thinking, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anybody that they keep, they want to make sure that they're actually good, because, yeah, you're right, they're going to have to pay them more.
So you could be an asshole and be like on your best behavior for 3 years and just be like, fuck off afterwards.
Sort of. So I was looking at that.
There's still a process to get fired. So
I think that the process there is there is a process to get fired. I was looking at that, however, and it is really long. And it's really detailed. In Massachusetts, anyway, the way it looks to me is that normally it's really easy to deal with the evaluation process, because normally you can kind of do it informally. As long as you're like, this teacher's fine, I'm not going to fire this teacher. Mm-hmm. You just check the boxes. I mean, you do your observations, whatever. It's really kind of casual, because like, you're not going to fire them. They're not going to complain, you didn't do my evaluation stringently enough, because it's fine. Like, no problem.
Who would do that?
When you're, however, deciding actually this teacher's kind of crappy, I know we've had a lot of complaints, we want to get rid of them. Or like they said in the example, like, oh, well, they can't fire me anyways, and they're like terrible or whatever. Like, you face a teacher like that, then you have to follow that process, and you have to follow it stringently, because you know that what are they going to do? They're going to complain.
They're going to contest it.
Yeah. They're going to make sure, and kind of rightfully so, that they're, you dot every I, you cross every T. Every step is followed before they're terminated, because, that's, they want multiple chances to fix things, because, like, if they lose that, they have very real threats to their material well-being.
Yeah. That makes sense on some level.
In our society, like, it's a big threat if you lose your job.
Yeah, and there's a difference between, losing your job from a layoff and then getting fired. Like, that's going to be harder to find a job. Like, when people ask you, why'd you leave? That's going to be awkward. Yeah,
that's for sure. And if someone has bothered to go through the formal process of terminating you,
you must have done pretty bad.
Yeah, it's not going to look good, I don't imagine.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's a tough one, because...
Yeah, what's a better system for this?
Well, I think in socialism or in communism, some things are kind of already addressed or alleviated from this. Mm-hmm. For one, losing your job would not be as catastrophic.
Yeah.
You'd still have your basic needs taken care of.
Yeah. So if you lost a job in that scenario, it'd be like, okay, well, now I know teaching's not for me. Moving on.
Yeah. Unions wouldn't feel the need to put into place such stringent protections, because it's no longer a bulwark against utter ruin.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's now a protection for your professional, standards and stuff, but it's not like, let's make sure that everybody can eat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Another thing I think is that you would have fewer people coming in just to get a paycheck.
Yeah, that's a huge problem in Texas.
Yeah. You don't have people saying, well, I gotta eat somehow. I guess I'll try teaching.
Yep.
Because, well, you don't have to bother to do that to be able to eat and everything.
The job market will be much more equitable,
And it should mean more motivated workers, right? Like people who are doing things like they want to
because they want to.
Yeah, instead of, well, I literally want to survive. Another thing I think would be, in a socialist or communist society, workers should have more agency at work, more of a say, more kind of democratic workplaces. They should be able to more effectively govern themselves. Yeah.
I would love to see less of a centralized and standardized kind of approach to education in general. So that, that way departments can determine their own standards, and, not so that they can be shitty, but so that it's actually useful,
Yeah, that would be, I don't know. I think it would be good.
It'd be difficult. It'd be more work.
It does sound like a lot of work.
I know there's so many different types of intelligence, and, obviously standardized testing I mean, teachers fucking hate it. Kids hate it. Everyone hates it.
Yeah, everyone does hate
So,
that for sure.
yeah, there's got to be a better way to do it. I don't know the answer to what that way is, but like, I think being more, I guess, holistic and flexible in general will be good. And a way to do that would be to be less centralized.
Yeah. I wonder if how much of this it stems from material competition between schools. So like schools are in competition with each other to get the right people to move to their district so they have a higher tax base and have more money.
That's so gross.
So you have to find a way to pump up your scores, pump up your graduation rates.
Through the most obscene and seedy methods. Oh my God.
Yeah. It encourages that, and basically the regulations are the only ways that stop that. So these standardized processes and everything, they're annoying and I hate them. But if you took them away without taking away like the overall structure, there's still that incentive to just be like, well, we want to pass everybody so that everybody graduates and we get good ratings.
But if schools are just funded, then you wouldn't have to do that, right?
Right. Yeah. You wouldn't have to scrounge to make sure that you get people with mansions that you can tax.
Yeah.
So that you can
There's no more
meet your
mansions.
funding. Yeah. If it was just funded normally through just, here's the money. Here's the money per pupil because you need it.
Yeah, exactly.
That sort of thing.
Ugh, what a world.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just fucking too far left, but like it just seems so not radical to me. Like, here's the money for education because you need it. Like, that should not be a fucking. Ugh.
They do it in normal ass democracies in other countries,
Yeah. I'm just the DNC, like the convention is going on tonight. I'm just like, if someone like just said that'd be crazy, and it's so sad.
Yep. Yeah. Since it can't be turned into a crazy tax credit scheme, then it's off the platform.
We got to make it wonkier.
Yeah.
We'll just find a way to add 12 more words to that sentence in a way that makes it sound more complicated, but it's the same thing.
Yeah, we should dress this up think tank style and present it to them and see what they think. And they'll, oh, this sounds great. I'm sure they'd figure it out eventually.
Yeah, we have to come with several binders, and then they'll sell it.
But yeah, I agree. I guess governing themselves in standards too, in terms of professional standards, educational standards, I think that would be a way to improve the situation within the context of a larger socialist society. Like you said, I don't think just transforming the schools is going to
that by
help unless
work.
you're changing like the underlying funding mechanism and all that.
It's almost like money is the problem with everything. Whoa, man. So I read a teacher's advice column because I read advice columns.
So it's an advice column geared towards teachers or done by a teacher?
They do some that's like Ask a Teacher, and it's run by teachers. And then they've been doing a series of articles by teachers talking about like reopening. And there was this one talking about like outside school options, like having school outdoors. And it's really interesting. I mean, my first thought is like, fuck you. Like, it's way too hot right now. But like, I'm like, man, if you lived in like a normal habitable place, that'd be great.
Yeah. In Texas, you could do home ec outdoors because you could fry the eggs on the sidewalk.
Exactly. Do some like horrible science experiments on temperature. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, you could do it for like a few weeks in fall. And that's it.
Oh gosh, some days I would love to do that.
Oh yeah,
it looks lovely, and maybe they'll let us do that this year because this year will be so fucking weird,
dude. Yeah.
So that's a possibility, I guess. I'll definitely try it come fall.
There's lots of studies that show that like it's really good for engaging, especially younger kids, but even just like kids of all ages.
Yeah, everyone.
And it's like just really good for them, especially for people who are like less traditional learners. And I think this is a really interesting area because it is so localized. It does depend on weather. And they're saying that even in places that have rain, like just fucking take them out in the rain. Like if you live in a place that has a lot of rain, the kids have rain gear, like for the most part. And if they don't, the school can provide some.
Yeah.
But I just think even that kind of breakdown and centralizing, like every school has to have their own plan, kind of leads to this weird innovation. It's obviously terrible circumstances.
Yeah.
But still, I think that's interesting.
Yeah. We both have that kind of localized preference. We're anarcho-communist, I guess.
Yeah, that's our stripe.
So I guess the way this would look is, schools would be motivated to try to or more broadly speaking, workers, if you're talking about getting rid of shitty workers in any environment.
We've all had a shitty coworker.
Oh, yeah. Or we've been them. I mean,
I was going to say,
no
I
judgment.
might be one.
No judgment. But workers would be trying to improve their workplace and stuff in an effort to better produce for their commune, or if you're talking like a socialism light situation, like a social democracy or democratic socialist, they might be producing, like in a workers' co-op within a like kind of market socialist society or something.
Yeah. I keep coming back to what you're saying earlier about it not being a desperate situation when you lose your job, because that would change so many things. Like right now, you're locked into a career as early as fucking 16, because that's when you start looking at colleges, and like that's insane.
Yeah.
So like we could actually have like a work program where like you go around and try some shit, and like, yeah, you're gonna be bad at some things, and that's okay. Like you're allowed to fail in the system because the system will support you. Like, oh, what a dream.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The old quote from Marx of fishing in the morning, hunting in the afternoon, rearing cattle in the evening, doing critical theory at night, without ever becoming a hunter, a fisherman, a shepherd, or a critic.
Marx would have loved Animal Crossing. I'm just saying.
Yep. It all boils back down to chilling on your island in Animal Crossing. That's our dream, folks.
It's true.
Sign up now. Communism.
Please. Oh. But yeah, man, I would love that. I'm trying to think if we didn't cover anything on kicking people out. I mean, yeah, basically it's not a big deal. Okay, cool.
I guess, yeah, it's not as big of a deal, but you would have to set standards, and you could set them more rigidly and say, we're actually going to kick you out if you're not any good. And it's also not going to be that bad if you get kicked out.
Yeah, it's a trade-off. Yeah. I think that's good.
You get kicked out more easily, but it's fine, man. Don't worry.
It's okay. You're going to be fine. That's cool.
And you also had a say in setting those standards,
Yeah, you were part of that meeting and not just like asleep.
Yeah,
hopefully.
And I think this is also a thing with unions. In their current structure, a lot of times there's a lot of vertical hierarchy. I would want to see at least unions that were more horizontal in structure, or more say from the bottom, from the rank and file in terms of doing that. So, and also not too annoying. Like, I don't want to make everybody always go to meetings. That sounds
exactly.
crappy,
I know. Sometimes whenever we talk about that, I'm like, that sounds like a lot of meetings. So that's like a lot of work. Determining standards for my workplace sounds like a pain in the ass.
I've been in enough Zoom meetings lately to where I definitely don't want to make anyone do any more meetings than they have to. Yeah.
I mean, more broadly speaking, besides teaching, teaching we all can all agree is very important. I think that's also what excites me about a potential like full-on socialist and communist society is we can get rid of the jobs that aren't as important. Like, you won't be in meetings all day, but like, well, what color should this be? And I'm talking shit about my own fucking field here.
I know. I had to hear a couple of those. And
well, yeah, when I stayed with you.
Yeah. Wow.
You look like you're going to kill yourself.
I was just, and I've been in, not of the same nature, but more than a few corporate meetings in my brief foray into that was just like, oh no. Oh no, what am I doing? Why are they talking about these acronyms and all this stuff?
I know. And it's like, on the one hand, obviously I understand that like color, it's important. It can lead the eye. Like, I fucking get it. But sometimes you're having these conversations where you're like, really?
This is to get someone to use an app more or something.
Yeah. This is just based on like customer research. And this is all just to get people to buy more shit. And we will have to worry about that less. And so we can actually, like, if I had to be in the meeting about that, but it's like, hey, how can we best set up our website for, here's an app for how to get connected to the fucking new Green New Deal core. I'd be like, I'm fucking in.
Yeah. Or linking people to reproductive services.
Yeah.
Or, useful things. Like, think about it. This is an important exercise for our listeners. Think about right now all the people whose minds in their day-to-day lives are bent toward the task of marketing something to someone.
Yeah, which like most of my friends. Hi guys.
Our project here is to free their minds from that task, from that yoke, and unleash them to do things that would actually make people's lives better. their
Yeah,
own
same.
and others, you know?
Same with the insurance industry. Like, I think a lot of people, when they're like, oh, then that's killing a whole sector. It's like, no, those people now get to work for, you know, a nationalized system to actually get people care. Like,
Yeah.
we need administrators for this because it's going to be a big job, you know? Like, yeah, probably some people would still lose jobs, but like, they probably fucking hated it.
Yeah, that's something that I thought about whenever I was vainly listening to our episode about the myths of capitalism, and we mentioned something about health insurance industry. Bye, you know, see ya.
Yeah.
It's like, but those workers actually are going to still have something useful to do with their career.
Yeah, yeah.
That will actually help people instead of prey upon them. Not that they're personally preying on them, but still.
Yeah, yeah. I almost quoted my own fucking D&D character. I play a robot from like a quote unquote utopian robot world where everyone is like programmed with their purpose. And so their catchphrase is find your purpose. And in socialism, everyone gets to find their purpose.
Yep. Freely instead of from central programming.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Thank you, Maggie, for that question. That was excellent.
Yeah, thank you. That was good. And thank you for the compliments.
Yes.
All right. Next up, we have a fun fact from Kayla. It's not really a fun fact, actually, but it's an interesting
Not so
fact.
fun, yeah.
So in the Emma Goldman episode, we talked about the Comstock laws, and Kayla writes in to say that anything considered homosexual was immediately considered obscene. So it was illegal for people to send LGBT zines, pamphlets, etc. through the mail. And she also recommends Lisa Ben as a resource to learn more about that.
Interesting. Did you look up Lisa Ben?
No, I didn't.
So Lisa Ben, that was actually her pen name. She was Edith D. Ade.
Yes.
And she was like an author and fantasy fiction fan, like fanzines and stuff too. Kind of a pioneer in that movement. She wrote a magazine called Vice Versa.
Okay.
That she kind of illicitly distributed and stuff because, you know, she could get in trouble for putting it through the mail and stuff, so she would pass it around for her friends. And it kind of got a wider following. There was more to her. I kind of wanted to do more research on her in the future and feature her in something because it was pretty cool.
Cool. What, like, time period was this?
So, for instance, she was born in 1921.
Holy cow.
Yeah. She established the magazine Vice Versa, started publishing that in 1947.
Damn, okay. So not writing Star Trek fan fiction.
No, like pulp science fiction.
Okay.
Fiction, you know? I thought it was funny, this weird story from her boss who advised her. She was the secretary at RKO Studios, and her boss told her, hey, there's not going to be a lot of work to do around here, but please look busy.
I love that.
So she spent the time like making carbon copies of her magazine so she could distribute it to people.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Comstock. Not fun.
Comstock, again, one of history's biggest losers.
Oh, yeah. That was the big nerd.
Yeah. Please don't swear, guys. Fuck him.
Fucking loser. So yeah, that, as a reminder to our listeners, that was also the law that made mailing birth control and I think even information about birth control illegal. So that sucks.
Couldn't mail anything but Bibles back then.
Only God's mail is allowed through the system.
Yeah. That's dumb.
Oh, guess what?
What?
So remember Gina had kittens a while back?
No. I thought she was a human.
Funny. All right. So they took in a stray cat who had kittens. And that cat's mom is still out and about. She's pregnant again. And she just had kittens.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So I might get a kitten. I don't know. Kyle wants to wait. He's like, we need to wait till we settle in and make sure we can like afford everything. And I'm just like, but
You also need to wait till it's like not bottle fed.
yeah. I'm like, well, yeah, we can wait until it's old enough.
Yeah, do that.
It's kismet. It's kismet.
What does that mean?
Like fate. It's like a Jewish term.
Ah, okay.
I do a lot of crosswords.
I thought you were describing like a coat pattern or something.
Oh, no. I think it's a calico.
Okay.
Anyway.
Thank you, Kayla, for that fact. And also for your other suggestions. Like, I've been putting those on our movie to watch list.
Yes.
So we're going to check those
Yeah.
out.
Keep them coming. All right. Next
Next, we have
Paul.
a question. Yeah, from Paul.
all the way from Scotland. He asked what we think will happen to professional sports in a socialist and communist society.
Yeah.
He is from Scotland, big fan of football, as it's called there. And, he knows that the wages of the players are really high, but also he likes soccer. And, I get it. I like soccer. It's like the one sport I can kind of watch.
Yeah, I like a lot of sports pretty much.
I don't. That's nap time shows.
I don't passionately follow anything but soccer and football.
Football, yeah.
That's really, in terms of my passionate following.
Kyle watches every fucking sport. I don't get it.
I will watch every sport, but I don't follow every sport,
Yeah.
And I really won't. I mean, I will even watch baseball if it's on and I don't literally have anything else to do. But what would we think would happen to sports?
Yeah, I like these kinds of questions. I feel like we get quite a few of these people who are like, hey, I'm into this. What would happen to it? And fair.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time thinking what would happen to my job because I don't fucking know.
It's important to kind of to ponder it. You don't have to be doctrinaire about it and be like, well, this is definitely how it will turn out because we don't know. We're just kind of spitballing. We're just kind of imagining. But I think you work through some things when you do that. All right. What's your guess or what's your take on it?
Let's see. I'm going to follow kind of our similar patterns that we've done, which is if it's, dreamland anarcho-communism, it's going to be a lot more local sports, but that'll be cool. So I think it's really interesting, the origins of some of these, football and rugby and even soccer too. Sorry, we're Americans. We're going to say soccer.
Yeah.
A lot of them were just your team was your town. And that's kind of cool.
Or your local sports club, or something like that. Or your athletic league, which was just your gym almost,
Yeah, I guess that would be just like a gym. So yeah, I would imagine in that case it'd be a lot more localized, and that might be difficult, to arrange travel and stuff if you wanted to play as someone really good or something who lives far away. But I don't know. That sounds kind of cool. What else? But if we're going full socialism, I mean, if it's more of a nationalist stripe, then it's they're gonna really want them to be good, huh?
Oh yeah, I mean, the Soviets fielded incredible athletic teams for Olympic Games and stuff.
Yeah, not so much soccer. They were bad in our version of World Cup '98.
Yeah, they were. Well, no, they weren't in '98. That was you're thinking the People's Republic
China
of China.
PR.
Yeah. Yeah, China PR is what it was on there. Yeah,
China PR.
Sports, I agree. Sports would definitely exist for sure.
Yeah, well, you got to do it. It's a weird human phenomenon. I don't get it, but people seem to like it.
I was thinking about that when watching this sci-fi series, a series on the Sci-Fi Channel. So not the biggest budget affair, but it was based on the Arthur C. Clarke book Childhood's End.
Okay,
which is about. Well, it's really cool. It's about aliens coming to Earth and just stopping all of our wars and everything single-handedly, and they're just like, you guys, it's going to be fine. We're going to fix all your problems. And they just...
That would be great. I wish I believed more. I mean, I believe in aliens, but oh man, now would be a great time, y'all. I wish there were a way to kind of tell them that.
Well, they come in and they basically just do communism, but alien style. It's just you have everything you want. It's utopia. It's great. That's all. And then eventually they I don't know, they do some weird thing where they get the last of humanity to merge into them and become a galactic consciousness sort of thing.
A little DNA stuff or something.
Well, they just that's just the last of humanity, and they subsume or ascend into this alien thing.
Weird. That's a little
that
weird,
part gets strange, but
I mean, sounds like it's worth it. Healthcare or being sucked up into an alien consciousness. I'll take the alien consciousness for 500, Alex.
Yeah, they still have humans participate in these sports and arts and stuff like that. That's kind of all we do because we don't have to work at anything really. So people just, and I imagine sometimes okay, what if an AI consciousness or something took over and, that was the future and humans would be kind of around in sort of a zoo situation.
We're pets.
Yeah, we would just, one of the interesting things we do is run around, play sports, do athletic activities.
In competition, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's grim to look at it that way maybe, but it's something that we love. And I don't think that would just go away because there's no more money in it anymore. currently, superstars and stuff, they're paid a ton of money by these teams. Mm-hmm. Not to convince them to like play the sport. Obviously,
they are into it. Yeah.
Yeah, they were into it long enough to get good at it, and the majority of that motivation wasn't just, I want to get a yacht and everything, because they could just go be a hedge fund manager.
Yeah, there's easier ways to make money for sure.
Yeah, they do it mostly for the love of the game. The reason these teams pay them so much money is to convince them to play the sport for them and not for someone else. If there's not another team, if that market is no longer there, they're not just not going to play. I mean, our current crop they might be like, whatever.
Yeah, fuck
I'm no
off.
longer going to do it. Okay.
But then we'll get new people.
Yeah, people are still going to, play all these sports. You might no longer have like the Barcelonas and the Bayern Munichs and the Manchester Uniteds. You're not going to have the top flight teams or the Yankees or the Dodgers or the Patriots or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But you're still going to have like incredible sports talent still happening.
Yeah.
I think it would definitely be more, like you say, though, more local.
Yeah.
Way less production value, like way less of a spectacle in terms of TV, broadcasting.
Because that's all sponsored by companies.
Yeah, like you're going to miss your Pepsi halftime show and your Lexus pregame
Shakira's not going to be there?
No, yeah.
But you get your local guitarist. I hope they're good. Jeez.
It's going to be less, on the bright side, it's going to be less of a Defense Department display at the beginning with all the flyovers and the army troops and the big flag on the field and all that. That'll be out the window.
Yeah. And less ads. They
might come out and sing the Internationale or something, but
yeah. Or your Animal Crossing theme.
Yeah.
KK Slider shows up.
I don't know. I think, I guess that's where we stand on it, is we think it would continue. Mm-hmm. And here's a question. Do you think that people would ever reach the athletic heights that they have reached now? Would they continue to push to those, better and better players? Like, because in any sport, when you compare today's players with
it's crazy.
Earlier ages, you're like, how did those guys play? Like, they weren't that good in comparison to what we have now.
If they went forward in time, they would be losers.
Yeah. So, like, do you think people would? I think people would still push to that.
I think so, yeah, because I think that's, like we said, human nature. I will say a lot of sports, like sports medicine is a really big field, and like the way they train, like for the Olympics and stuff, it's very like techy, and like sciencey. I don't know a better word for that, but I wonder, that probably wouldn't be so much of a thing, so that might go down. But I think it, like a lot of, like we've talked about this with like art and actors and all kinds of things, some of that, high level stuff is going to come down, but it'll be more open and accessible to other people. Yeah. Like I've heard from people who love going to amateur games. Yeah. Like minor league games. They're like apparently super fun. And it sounds like they're fun because it is amateur and because it's more like casual. And I think that would be kind of cool.
Yeah. We love going to a local, I guess that sort of a thing with hockey.
I've heard hockey games are fun for that.
The Texas Titans.
The Texas Titans.
Yeah. Semi-pro, senior A level hockey team. We started going to that, this past year. But yeah, no, like there would be, and in my understanding is, in Britain, you have a lot of lower tier in the, you have English Premier League, but then you have like lower tiers than that, that are in a lot of cases like just getting less and less support and stuff, attendance and all that. Because all the money and resources and everything is going up to the Titans at the top. Your biggest teams in the Premier League are getting everything, and then there's nothing left for the more local teams. So that you would see kind of a leveling, I think, between those two. Yeah,
and again, this is another point we harp on a lot, is that because people have more leisure time, like they will have time to pursue these sports just for fun. Like,
if you're working 4 hours a day,
Yeah, I would love a little pickup soccer game. Like, I used to love playing soccer.
Yeah, that would be cool. And one thing I was thinking about, though, is that you might see a lot more rules changes, a lot more softening of a sport like football.
Like localized rules, probably.
Well, that too. Like a splitting of the rule set and stuff. Yeah, that's how they That's how they originally arrived at like association football, regular soccer, versus gridiron football or Gaelic football, all this.
And rugby, all that shit.
But I was thinking in terms of the health risks for football, especially American football.
Oof.
It makes sense in some ways to risk your body and everything like that if you get a payout that's big enough to cover it.
Yeah.
Or if you think you're going to. But if you're, I don't know if you would do that I guess you will still be taken care of, like you'll be fine.
But then is it worth that?
Yeah.
Football's weird. I mean, I don't think it's a fun sport to watch, and also I think it's bad for you. So, but I know a lot of people really like it. So like I sympathize with those people. Like it's a big deal culturally, and it's like, man, like that would suck to have to like take that away. But also, it seems like it's pretty bad for you.
I will be sad if they ever actually just kind of get rid of it. But I think I will eventually resign myself to just watching old games and playing video games of it and stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it is really, barring actual big fundamental changes to the way the game is run, it's very destructive of human bodies. So, yeah. But overall, I think we've come to a conclusion that sports would be good.
Keep them going.
They would be different. They would be more egalitarian.
Yeah.
Lower highs and higher lows, that sort of thing. A leveling.
It would be challenging, though, if you were in a situation where your country was socialist and, like, other people weren't. Like, that it would be hard to keep up, probably. Like, because, like we said, probably more of your resources would go to other things.
Yeah. Cuba has that problem. America frequently
steal
gets
all their
Cuban
baseball
players. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Cuba kind of has to devote a lot of resources to try to, give perks, basically, to players to stay in the Cuban leagues. I'm sure other countries. I was just reading about that on Reddit or something when I was doing some Reddit research for this.
The best kind.
But yeah, for sure. That's a big hole in socialism for one country that Stalin didn't think about was sports. Come on, man. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
But yeah, Paul, awesome question. That was fun to think about.
Yeah. Thanks, Paul. All right. Next, we want to get back to our pal Bob, the capitalist.
Bob, our capitalist friend. So Bob took one of our recommendations and didn't like it so much with Richard Wolff. And I kind of conceded the point here. He said basically that his analysis was kind of shallow and, not super academically, I guess, rigorous.
Okay. I think I've only listened to him like once and I think I fell asleep. It was like on a car ride.
I like that he is, he simplifies things. He's very accessible, but I can see how that comes across as kind of unsophisticated or cheesy or kind of oversimplified.
Yeah.
I definitely get that.
I would say our show is very simplified. We're never let's explain economics to you.
Yeah, but we don't bill ourselves as professors, I guess.
That's true. Definitely don't.
I do appreciate his kind of constant, nearly harping on workers' co-ops. I don't think that they are as universally going to fix everything as he does, but
yeah.
So I got his criticism there. That makes sense, Bob. I can see that.
Yeah.
But then he pointed us to David Harvey.
What's up with David Harvey?
Did you branch out and listen to it?
No homework. I'm fucking trying to move.
Slacker over here.
You come pack all this shit and clean my apartment.
I am liking David Harvey a lot. Yeah. I'm only 8 episodes in, but the guy has a great accent, first of all. British.
I mean, 2 first names, he could be a country star. That's the rule.
He would be a very strange country star with his accent. Like an old British man, basically.
Okay.
And he's got that kind of great professor voice and cadence sort of thing going on.
Nice.
And he's got a very consistent, compelling, and insightful historical analysis of capitalism and its contradictions. He kind of focuses on, at least at this part so far, on the neoliberal turn of the 1970s. Trying to tell a story kind of how we are where we are. And It's very interesting and it makes sense. And it is nuanced. So I think that's one of the things that Bob appreciates about it, is that he's not afraid to kind of pull little details out and look at that.
Yeah, that sounds good. So, I'll check him out.
Yeah, I recommend it. I'm starting at the beginning because I think
I was going to ask, is there a good jumping in point?
I don't know of an earlier one, but he started in 2018, I think, and it's not that many episodes. Like, you don't have to hit show more.
Okay, good.
So, it's a good one. Check it out.
Cool.
It's called, I didn't ever give the title, I just told the guy's name. It's called David Harvey's Anti-Capitalist Chronicles, which could use
a good name.
It sounds like a fantasy novel, but...
Oh, it does, kind of the Chronicles.
Yeah.
I just focused on the anti-capitalist part, and I was like, cool, sounds good. I'm predicting.
Yeah. So thanks, Bob, for the tip. I now have another podcast to listen to, like I needed it. But I like it. Yeah, I don't want to sound ungrateful.
Oh, these are like short, too. That's good.
Yeah,
right?
They are. Mm-hmm.
I like that, because I was like, oh, fuck, this sounds like a lot of work.
No, it keeps them bite-sized, because I think it is denser, you know?
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. I'll check that out. Because I do not consider myself well-versed in economics, so I feel like I barely did well in that in school. All right, next up, we have Dirk from Iowa.
Iowa. Which episode did we do some shit?
That was in Trumbo, I think, or it might have been earlier. It's all a blur.
It's probably you doing it. You're notoriously anti-Iowan.
That was me. So they write in to tell us a little bit about Iowa, and they said that the new metal band Slipknot, the front man is from there. So props to Iowa for that. I'm not a Slipknot person, but I understand that they are culturally a big deal.
Nice, yeah. It's one of the few genres I don't get too much into, but I do have friends that like, kind of metal stuff. So
yeah, I appreciate metal for its like technical skills, but I don't find it pleasant to listen to. But I'm like, I get why you like it.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Also, Iowa is a major agricultural state. They are one of the highest producers of corn, producing close to 3 billion bushels a year.
That is a ton of corn.
That's a lot of corn.
3 billion bushels.
Corn.
That's corn for days, for years, probably.
So much corn. They also have a lot of livestock. The ratio of 7 pigs to every 1 person, not counting the police. Oh, that's good. That's a good joke, Dirk.
Oh, I like it.
Very good joke.
So that's cool, man. We didn't give a lot of credit to Iowa for being such a producer.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I think I try not to shit on rural places because, like, I think that's a bad take. But I think for me personally, my move from a more rural place to an urban place was great for me.
You're a
but
city
I also
pig.
understand. Yeah, I'm a city pig. Is the deal? I'm babe pig in the city. But you do you, Iowa.
Yeah, and that's cool. It's like not that glamorous, and it's easy to be like country bumpkins,
Yeah.
But yeah.
But they do a lot for us.
Yeah, that's obviously worthwhile and value and should be more valued.
Honestly,
than it is.
Yeah. All right. Dirk's question. Do you feel that Americans commonly associating communism with Russian and USSR culture hurts the spread of left-wing ideology in America? Communism in America is commonly associated with Russian culture, even though communism isn't inherently Russian. I believe a lot of this anti-Russian view originates in the educational system's portrayal. And from my understanding, the Soviets were the first state to attempt to implement communism on a wide scale, and that's why it's attributed to them. They give examples like the color red, fists and tools, even Russian words and phrases. See our album art. I definitely was just like, fuck it. Symbols are useful.
Stuff, yeah.
And yeah. Do you believe this correlation is because a lot of inspiration comes from Russia, or that's just what communist aesthetics are? Should we work on creating a new culture to avoid this stigma? I really like this question as a visual person. I think this is cool.
Yeah, this was interesting. I'm going to take it from the top, I guess.
Yeah. Let's
start with the first thing. Do we think that the association hurts the spread of leftism? I think it does. I
think so too. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons that I wanted to do this podcast, because I was very tired of being like, socialism sounds cool, and everyone being like, what about Russia? So it's really annoying to have to shut that down every single time, and for every single situation.
Yeah, for sure. I think it opens it up to, like you said, these attacks, even if they're stupid, and they're nationalist and dumb or whatever, but they paint leftist ideologies as foreign or un-American or what have you,
Yeah. And, in our episodes on Russia, we've tried to be pretty objective about it. Like, yeah, they've done some bad shit, and like, we shouldn't try to be like them. Like, I'm inspired by Emma Goldman, where it's like, yeah, talk shit about them because they did bad stuff.
Yeah, and that makes us like lousy left comms or whatever, and that's fine. I mean, you can have that criticism of us. That's okay. But we do like to call out crap when we see it.
Stalin sucked.
Stalin, ugh.
The worst.
I agreed with Dirk's mention of this anti-Russian view originating in the educational system's portrayal of communism and socialism and everything. Definitely, I think that's stoked in education and popular media.
Oh, yeah.
And this is an old phenomenon. This is from the days of the first Red Scare, when Bolshevism kind of first made its rise on the internet. There was the Russian Revolution, and everybody, all the capitalists were scared shitless because they thought their heads were going to be next,
So was it easy for them then to paint almost like a nationalist picture of it, like, just othering this other place, saying that's what Russia does. That's crazy. Foreign. We don't fuck with that.
And even before the Russian Revolution, if you look at something like the Haymarket Affair and things like that, which we've talked about before, that's in the 1880s. Back then, they were targeting anarchists and socialist labor movements and things. They were targeting those and characterizing them as foreign because so many of the workers and the leaders in those movements were foreign-born immigrants from Germany and other places.
Or those Italian guys that got executed. They were also, it was very like anti-immigrant sentiment too.
Yeah. All that kind of served the establishment's purposes of delegitimizing it, making it un-American, and playing into that. They've done that for so long. So I do think that that association kind of hurts.
I agree.
Real leftism.
Yeah, I try to view it as more of an inside joke, if that makes sense. Like, I will reference those things, just be like, oh yeah, that's Stevania or whatever. Like I'll just use it as like a smell test to see like who knows about it and who like can kind of joke about it. You know what I mean? Like, obviously I don't want us to be Russia. I just I think it's funny.
It's a cool aesthetic. That's what
cool.
He mentions in here too. Is like, is it just because it's cool? Yeah. I mean, it kind of is.
It's pretty cool. Red is a power color.
It's wonderful to use and to call back to, and red has kind of long roots as far as being used for workers' movements. I don't think that leftists have to rely just on like Soviet style imagery, even if we want to use old stuff and kind of call back to historical roots. There's a lot of history in the American socialist movement. We were talking about before the show, maybe even doing another episode on that, or maybe making that our next episode.
That'd be cool.
There's a long tradition of socialist parties, of revolutionary labor movements and unions going so far back as 1876 in the United States. Before the Russian Revolution and anything,
Yeah. And you don't hear about this, by the way.
No, yeah. That's it's supposed to be
buried.
Imported and foreign and crazy and weird, and don't do it. But we had our own, labor movement and everything, and socialist political movement here in America that wasn't foreign inspired, that wasn't dominated by, agents in Moscow or anything like that.
Yeah.
They had symbols like an arm and a hammer was one of them.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Yeah, that was the Socialist Labor Party of America's logo. The International Workers of the World, that was a militant labor union. They published their Little Red Songbook. People think of Chairman Mao with the Little Red Book or something when they think of that. But the Little Red Songbook was from 1909, and it was like a book of like union hymns and stuff.
Oh, cool.
It included songs like The Red Flag, which was written by an Irish socialist in 1889. The red flag symbol, I did some cursory research on that way back to well before the Bolsheviks used it as the Soviet Union flag,
Yeah.
way back as into the something called the
Oh.
Merthyr Rising in Wales. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. That was kind of the first time it was used for a workers' revolt. So there's just like a lot of instances of this happening well before, the Soviets come onto the scene. So there's a lot of history we could harken back to if we do want to get to old symbols and stuff and tap into that aren't really grounded in Russian influence.
One that I've seen come up more is the Labor Party's rose. That one got really big whenever they had their recent election. And now I just see it being used all the time. That's how you know someone's cool on Twitter.
Yeah. That's the, I've seen, the emoji one, right?
Yeah. And even historically, I have a great book called The Secret Lives of Color by Cassia St. Clair. And they go like through the rainbow and they go like color by color and like talk about the origins of it. And, red like evolutionarily has always been a very important color. Like obviously it means blood. Something's wrong. Yeah. And so like it has a lot of these like very visceral associations, which is why I think it kind of holds true in a lot of these movements.
Yeah. What did you think about the part where you mentioned, should we create something new?
I'm into it. I mean, I think we need a real leftist movement in this country anyway. I'm ready for it. I'm here.
In this country, worldwide.
Yes.
All over.
So I don't know what that would be. I have no fucking clue, but I'm down for it.
Yeah. Me too. What direction could that go in? What could that look like? Like, I have no idea.
I think it depends what they're going for. Let me do a quick branding exercise.
Okay.
So if we're going socialist, I think the best way to do that, and I think something that has been effective in the past, is hearkening back to the fucking New Deal. And like, I know it's been done before, but like, I think no one's going to say that was bad. Yeah. And I think that was a frustrating part of watching like Bernie's campaign. It's just like, just fucking say it's the New Deal again. Just say New Deal 2, the Bernie. Like, because like people liked that and it was good. We all agree it was good. Like, I think that's a super easy aesthetic to hang your hat on. We mentioned a lot the Works Progress Administration, like those cool ass posters, the national parks posters, like that. If I had to tell you how many fucking pitches I've heard, like, oh, what if it's a series of posters and it looks like national parks? Like, it's a very common trope, but it's a good trope.
Damn. Well, it's good. Like I was going to say, there goes my career in advertising. But okay.
It's good. It isn't the right fit for everything, but if you can pull it off and you can do a good job, then it's great.
Okay.
A lot of people do shitty ones, so don't do that. But no, it's something inspiring. It's something, if you're going a little more nationalist in flavor, I think it could work because it's like, let's all work together and build this one cool ass thing, Mm-hmm. Like,
do it for your country too.
Yeah. So I think that's an option. Now, I think if we're going anarcho, I think punk's the way to go. I think you get your weirdest fucking cartoonists out there drawing some nasty shit, showing the horrors of capitalism. That's during revolution time. We're trying to get people on board.
No,
afterwards, I don't know.
Do you think that the punk aesthetic is really gonna, play on Main Street, I guess?
Well, no. I guess not. That's just from my circles. That's what I see in leftist art. So, yeah. No, probably not. I mean, we're trying to go for a revolution. I don't think Main Street, I don't know how to get them.
I guess it doesn't do us a lot of good to try to figure out how it's going to look. But I do think that it would make sense for the left to kind of move in new directions, create their own symbols, their own new culture,
Mm-hmm.
Like you were saying, their own kind of brand, I guess, in the capitalist sense.
I would, if we're talking about Zoom meetings you'd pay attention to, I'd pay attention to that one. Sign me up. Put me on that committee.
Yeah. I hope that happens, and I hope I see get to see what cool shit they're coming up with. And they're like, oh yeah.
I feel like every day I'm just like, man, I wish we had a big left movement. I don't know how to even get the movement, much less how the fuck it would look. So
no, I think a lot of people are in that boat of we want to see this happening, but we don't want to do anything to make it happen or do anything too difficult. Yeah. Or really, put in the work.
I feel that. It's very daunting, I think that's why people, including myself, have latched onto DSA because it's like, well, at least there's some framework there, you know? That's why we're like, okay, fuck, it's a big tent and it's not perfect, but like it's something, you know?
Yeah. And I think that's why we're recording this when the Democratic Party's
The clown show?
Clown show, yeah. Their convention.
The dry white bread toast convention.
And yesterday they had the terrible spectacle of they dragged poor Bernie's ass out there to
let that man rest.
To say, you know, vote for Joe. I think that that's one reason behind people wanting to run Bernie and the Democratic Party and do kind of an insurgency from within it, because you can capture, if you can capture like an already existing party apparatus that people are familiar with and just change it into what you want, you don't have to build something new or try to build up.
But that's just like not an option. I feel like it's just, like we tried it twice and it didn't fucking work.
Yeah.
It's just not going to work.
I would agree. I mean, you could try using a not so new third party. I mean, you could try using the Green Party or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any more hope in a leftist project within the Democratic Party.
I don't either. And I think with America in particular, I think my thesis is, I think a lot of people could be persuaded. I think it's just about how you sell it to them. Like, it sucks, but I think we might have to hide some of this shit, you know, like mashing up vegetables and mac and cheese, you know?
So you're saying we should be saying, teach me the New Deal?
Maybe. I mean, I'm saying we should be talking more about the benefits they're getting and, like, you know, sell it to them, really, instead of being like, you know, overthrow, you know, fuck it, you know?
But you're just making an argument for like social democracy or democratic socialism is incremental change, slowly do it so that people don't notice, you know?
I mean, we come back to this all the time. There really are two avenues for this. Do you want to do it that way, or do you want to fucking burn some shit down? I don't know if you can sell people on burning shit down. I don't think you can. Well, sure, it's possible. But, you know, when we look at revolutions, and when we've said this before on the podcast, when we look at anytime people are going into anarchist situation like the Spanish Civil War, or when people are starting revolutions in the Russian Revolution, or it would be the same in the Cuban example or anywhere, is it's in times of crisis. You know, it's when things are really shitty. So I don't think we can choose whether or not to do revolution. That just happens if it's bad. That's true. But if it's good, while it's good, you should be trying, I guess. I mean, I guess you should be trying reforms. No, I mean, unless you're an asshole and you want to, like an accelerationist, and that's what you would call it, where you want to make it worse. Yeah, you want to like deliberately make things worse. You're trying to sink it. Yeah, that's accelerationism. Don't do that. I think that's shitty because you're playing with people's lives. Yeah. I mean, in the meantime, I think you try to make things better, and that's basically puts us in the, in the sock dems and the social democrats, basically. Yeah. I mean, it all comes back to my internal conflict of, I want the revolution, I'm just scared. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I wish I had the answer. Here's the thing. I think even if I had the answer, I'm too fucking lazy to do it. Yeah, I think it's really just going to take a mass rage, which, honestly, recently I feel like we got kind of close with all the protests and with being a fucking pandemic. And I think more and more people are realizing every day that, like, oh wow, like our government really does not give a shit. Yeah. But I also feel like people feel more and more disenfranchised. Like, well, what the fuck am I going to do about it? Yeah, I would say that, I don't know, we got close and not close at the same time. That's a situation where electoralism kind of would matter. I mean, if you did have a unified Democratic Party control of the political apparatus at that time, and they had been people that the left primary challengers had all won, so it was kind of a left of center Democratic Party. If it was Bernie Sanders' Democratic Party at all levels and holding all levers of government, when the pandemic and shit happened, when the Black Lives Matter and George Floyd protests kicked off, that would have been enough to break people. Well, imagine what sorts of reforms or, what they would have given.
you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Like, you don't have as fascist of a repression reaction going on, you know?
Yeah.
It's probably still not going to be great. It's America. It's an empire.
No, but I'm willing to push for better.
Yeah, you're kind of, I guess electoralism boils down to kind of trying to put someone that you can bully more effectively.
Yeah, who looks
office.
like the weeniest person you can take their lunch money from.
Yeah, you want to put that person in power, whoever you think you can pick up, shake out their pockets.
Oh, nerds 2020. But not wonky nerds. I guess doofuses, maybe? So
Himbos.
they're stupid. Himbos 2020. I'd vote for it. Okay. I have to order food because I'm starving.
All right. Dirk, thank you for your question about American communist culture and should we build something new.
I think it's interesting.
We were kind of inconclusive. We
Yeah.
think we should kind of maybe go in new directions, but there is a lot of stuff that we could draw on that wouldn't suffer from Russophobia or anything because it's not Russian. So for next time, what do you want to learn about?
I want to learn more about the history of socialism and communism in the States.
All right.
I feel like we've done quite a few episodes on Russia, and like this question points out, this last listener question, we have our own culture here too, so I want to learn more about it.
Yeah, exactly. That's such a good point that Dirk brought out there with that question, so let's explore it further. We barely touched on it today. There's a ton there, though. I've got 8 Wikipedia tabs open of various different things that I've got to save for later for this. So yeah, let's do it.
Cool. Socialist
and communist, leftist parties in the United States.
Cool. I'm excited. All right. You can find us online. We're on Twitter at teachcommunism, Instagram at teachmecommunism. If you want to send your own listener question or just nice things to say, whatever you want to say, teachmecommunism@gmail.com. You can also leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We really like those.
Yes, we do.
We're on YouTube now. Just search for Teach Me Communism on YouTube. Patreon. We are at patreon.com/teachmecommunism. And we are uploading notes for that for some of our episodes so you can see how geeky we are.
You can peek behind the scenes.
Yes.
Into our brains.
Yes. See how smooth they are.
All right.
Thank you for teaching me communism.
Anytime. Thanks for being a great student and a great co-host in this sense. I wasn't breaking down a topic for you this time.
You did more research than I did, which was 0 because my whole life is in boxes.
Fair enough. In 11 boxes or something?
11 only kitchen.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
Stupid. This will be hopefully the last episode I have to record in my bedroom with this ridiculous setup in the dark, basically, because we don't have a good light source here. So, yeah. Next time we'll be in my studio.
And next time, listeners, will be next week when you can catch another episode of Teach Me Communism, where the class struggle is always in session.
Bye, y'all.